Hey everyone, I'm Jesse from Janjo. Thanks for checking out this video. Now to the Janjo Club and everyone not subscribed yet, we all love to have the best controller available, whether it's for the NES, the PlayStation 2, the Xbox One, even the Nintendo 64. Now, Hyperkin was gracious enough to send me this new controller they have. It's the wireless Admiral Controller, in a completely non-paid review here. Is this the best N64 controller yet? Now, I've reviewed a lot of 64 controllers and counting, a lot of really weird ones, but let's take a look at the good and the bad, and if you should buy this controller. Wait. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, because that helps me upload more videos and know that you like content like this. Let's start off with the good. The connection range is great. I've played it from my couch. I've played it from behind the 64. I played it from across my room. Now, obviously, I don't know how everyone's room space is, but judging from what I've played, I had no issues at any range, at any spot in my room whatsoever. Now, I would imagine it would go even farther beyond that if you wanted to, and of course, I'm sure there's a range, but from what I've noticed that most likely you're not going to have any problems with where you want to play it with the controller in terms of delay, lag, any sort of thing. And also the control stick is very tight. I don't say that in a bad way, like it doesn't want to move like an old rusty controller. I mean, it's very smooth. It works very well. As you can see in Wave Race 64, I can weave back and forth. I can slalom. I don't know. I can go through these buoys. I can go through those things very easy. I can turn, and in a game like Wave Race, where that's very important, I was very happy to see that this controller actually does work very well for something like that. And of course, the start for the controller is very quick. When you turn on your console, you just need to activate your controller, or whatever you want to call that startup thing, and it usually takes about 2 seconds to connect, so you can jump in the game really fast. Could it be faster? I mean, sure, but it's a wireless controller. I expect there to be some sort of startup there. I'm not going to complain for 2 seconds, if even that. Now, in contrast, sometimes the startup is a little janky and can take a while for you to manually connect back. It's not very hard, but unfortunately, sometimes, like when I was playing Mischief Makers and it wasn't connecting right away, it took almost the entire intro. Now, that might not be a problem for some people because Mischief Makers intro is fantastic, but sometimes you just want to jump in a game. I know that feels kind of dumb to complain about, but it's something I do have to mention, that sometimes it doesn't always start up correctly. One of the biggest issue when I was playing Mischief Maker was the D-pad is not precise at all. Playing Mischief Makers was a chore. There's a lot of times I tried to do platforming sections and it just wasn't working very well. And at first I thought maybe it was the D-pad size, but no, it's the same size as about the regular 64 controller. I have looked. I think the thing with the D-pad is that there seems to be a lot more focus in the center of the D-pad as opposed to the individual directions, meaning that when you want to move a certain direction, it feels a bit more circularly, more round, I guess is what I'm trying to say, than I would like. And it just doesn't really work the best for this kind of stuff, which means I'd rather play with something like the Tribute 64 or the HoriPad Mini. Maybe not the HoriPad Mini, but you get what I'm trying to say. And the other thing about the controller is that the R and L buttons are too small. I was looking and comparing with some of my other controllers, and I realized that it is a small thing. At first I thought it was too close, but when you look at the size, it's very tiny. Why is this an issue? Well, if you're playing something like Super Mario 64 or Goldeneye, when you want to use a conjunction of both R and Z, and just so you know, there are Z buttons on both shoulders like a lot of modern 64 controllers are. A lot of times your finger will hit the R but also hit the Z, meaning you'll aim and shoot when you don't want to, or you may try to long jump and you accidentally ground pound, and that's kind of a big issue, especially in a game like Goldeneye, where what you do is very important because you don't want people coming around and blasting their blasters at you, or Mario 64 where you're trying to do certain very specific jumps and you just mess up because it's really not your fault, it's more the controller's fault. So should you buy the Admiral Nintendo 64 controller? Now this controller is really good for what it aims to do. Now while the shoulder buttons are a bit too close together, that stems from the L and R being a bit too small and the D-pad isn't precise at all, the connection is very good no matter what the range, and the control stick works very well. Now, it doesn't replace controllers for games like Goldeneye and Mischief makers. I mean, we're at a point where you can have different controllers for various games. Look at Super Mario 64 speedrunning, where sometimes they will use a Hori pad for just tossing Bowser around. But simpler games for this controller is a great solution for extension cords. A few touch-ups here and there would make this controller the go-to controller, and I just wish this had a spot for the Rumble Pack, because while it is very light, and I'm sure that was a design choice, I'm sure the weight addition for Rumble Pack would have been perfectly fine for a lot of people. So I love how creative Nintendo 64 controllers get. There's so much variety, especially in recent years. So having great options is always fantastic, and now that we have this modern wireless controller, that's just another thing to add to your queue of 64 controllers, because I definitely recommend trying this out for certain games. So let me know what you think about this. Do you think it looks interesting? Have you bought it? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments or on Twitter at JanjoBrain, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this, and potentially a poll up top if I have one of those. And of course, until then, have a nice day.